here and share the information that we have today for you. So for those of you who may not have interacted with me already, my name is John Fierst, and I am the program director for both the Master of Science in Supply Chain Management and the Master of Science in Management Science programs here at UT Dallas. And these are the two master's degree programs housed in the operations management area of the Jindal School of Management. And so I'm the program director for both. I'm a full-time program director, so my full-time job is to support students who are applying to the program, coming into the program, and then ultimately going through and graduating. So my full attention is on students. And so I'm really excited to do these info sessions. I really enjoy getting to share all of the cool things that are happening in our programs with our prospective students. And so we'll be bouncing back and forth between the two programs a little bit throughout the info session. But broadly speaking, we'll be covering academics, careers and internships, and all of the awesome student resources and opportunities that our students have in the program. So if you have questions along the way, feel free to drop them in the chat. And I will try to answer them as we go throughout the session, but there will be plenty of time at the end of the slides for you to ask any questions that you have, and I'll stick around as long as I need to answer folks' questions. All right, so let's start off here with our supply chain program. Why would you want to go into supply chain now? Well, coming out of COVID, I think the word supply chain has really gotten a lot of attention in the media, and people now know the importance of supply chain and operations in our economy and for businesses. And there's a few stats here that I wanted to share with folks. One is this skills gap here on the left. This came out, I think, a few years ago. And this study basically showed, there's going to be more open jobs in manufacturing than there will be people to fill those jobs. And then recently, this new research came out from the Allied Market Research Group just this year, actually, that showed that the global supply chain management market is valued at over $27 billion, and it's projected to almost triple, really, in the next roughly 9 years to about $76 billion. And so that's a rate of growth over 10%. So we're seeing a lot more importance placed on supply chain, and we're seeing a lot of growth in the supply chain sector. And so as companies recognize that, they're really going to be seeking out top talent to make sure that everything is running smoothly for them. And that's where our program can come into play. We'll really, we have a quality education that you get here at UT Dallas, and it will really help you set yourself apart in the job search and help you stand out in today's supply chain job market. For management science, this is a little bit more of a general management degree. And so I wanted to pull this data from the National Association of Colleges and Employers, or NACE, and they did a winter salary survey earlier this year, at the beginning of the year, and they found that for students with a master's degree in business, that their expected salaries coming out of school will be just over $80,000. And so as businesses continue to seek out top candidates for their leadership positions, the management science program can help set you apart in that way and really allow you to customize your path to get to where you want to be in the business world. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in the academic section today. The other thing that I wanted to share was this 2023 Jobs on the Rise article that I saw on LinkedIn actually earlier this year. And they outlined 25 jobs that are going to be in demand over the near term. And 5 of those 25 jobs I thought aligned very well with my 2 degree programs. And so I wanted to pick those out and share those today. One is data governance manager, 2 sustainability analyst, strategy and operations manager, product operations manager, and a channel account executive. And some of these are more related to supply chain and some more to management science. But the fact that 5 of those jobs of the 25 on the list came from something that was really operations related, I think shows that the skills that our students gain in supply chain and management science are very much in demand by employers today. Okay, now I know a lot of folks might be toying with the idea of an MBA versus an MS degree, and so I wanted to share a little bit about some of the differences between an MS degree and an MBA. Our MS programs here in JSOM have a STEM designation. Both the supply chain management and management science degrees are STEM designated. So there's really that focus on the analytical and technical skills that are very much in demand in the job market right now. Our MS programs are also only 36 credit hours versus an MBA, which is 53 credit hours. So you can get through an MS degree potentially a little bit quicker and for fewer classes and fewer tuition dollars. I learned this also earlier this year, but the MBA is actually the most commonly awarded master's degree in the US. So our MS degrees are a little bit more focused, and that can really help you stand out in the job market by going a little bit deeper with a certain skill set rather than being kind of a broad business generalist. Our MS programs also have a required internship or capstone. That means we are very, very intentional about helping our students get experience before they graduate. We know that experience plus a master's degree is really where you want to be coming out of grad school. And because of that requirement, we really help our students get that relevant experience that they can put on their resumes to really help them stand out in the job market. And finally, unemployment continues to be very, very low in the US, even with some of the economic wobbles that may have happened over the last year or so. Unemployment really has not budged at all. And our Career Management Center just hosted an employer conference actually earlier this month that I attended. And I snapped this photo that you see here on the slide. And our CMC, Career Management Center, brought in this guy named Greg Muccio, and he is the managing director of talent at Southwest Airlines, which is headquartered right here in the Dallas area. And Greg basically was sharing some of the employment trends that he was seeing as the director of talent at Southwest. And he said that look, there's just not enough human beings to fill the open jobs in the US right now. It's just going to be more jobs than people. And that continues to hold true. So don't let anything that you see in the media scare you about the economy in the US, because unemployment is still very low. There are still jobs that need to be filled, and we still need people coming out of school with the right skills to fill those jobs. So I think that's a great segue to our graduate and intern data. This is a question that we get asked a lot is, where do our grads end up? So the top two tables that you see on the slide are for our supply chain program, and the bottom two tables are for our management science program. In the supply chain program over the last year, we've really seen some growth in that salary for students coming out and going into full-time roles. We peaked at about $92,000 in spring of 2022. That fell just a little bit to $88,000 for our students who graduated back in December. And we're continuing to collect data on students who just graduated in May. But that's been a very, very healthy bump in the average salary for our grads. Similarly, on the internships, this past academic year, we saw that hourly wage really creep up pretty steadily. It kind of settled back down this past summer, but really at $24 an hour, that's still very good and much higher than it was before the pandemic. So even for our internships that where the average hourly wage went down a little bit, that's still very, very good. For our management science students, this is a little bit smaller program, and we have students who are really taking this degree in a lot of different directions. So the salary tends to wobble around quite a bit and has a little bit wider range for management science. But our students are still coming out with a very healthy salary, right around $80,000 in 2022. And for our internships, their wage has also crept up pretty steadily over the past year. And in spring, it took a little bit of a hit. We had a couple students do an unpaid internship that semester, and that's why that went down a little bit. But in summer of 2023, it went right back up, and now actually that's the highest wage that our management science interns have ever had. So we're very, very glad for our management science interns because they've been doing really very well. Okay, one other thing that I want to mention here is our rankings. So in the supply chain management program, we're very focused on the Gartner Rankings. And Gartner, if you're not aware, is a very important supply chain consulting firm here in the US. And so what they do all day, every day is supply chain consulting. And the only rankings that they put out each year are for supply chain programs. So unlike US News and unlike EdUniversal and some of the other big rankings websites out there, Gartner doesn't rank everybody. They're only focused on supply chain programs. So we put a lot of stock in those Gartner rankings because they know their stuff. And we are proud to announce that we were ranked number 4 in 2022. So we are among the top 5 programs nationally in the US for our graduate supply chain program. This is really very excellent. It's the highest ranking we have ever had, and it really goes to show that employers and other universities and our peers recognize the quality of education that our students are getting in the supply chain program here at UTD. So we're very thrilled about this and very excited that that Gartner has placed us in the top 5 nationally in the US. All right, so let's go ahead and shift a little bit over to the academics of our supply chain and management science programs. So I'll start here with supply chain. We offer this degree on campus and online. And so students who are in the program can really go back and forth between in-person and online courses. There's nothing restricting you from choosing whatever modality of class you prefer. I think that's a really great aspect of the program is that flexibility. So you can do everything online, you can do everything in person, you can do 50-50. It's a really flexible program in that way. For the students who take our online courses, most of them are self-paced and flexible. We have been starting to introduce some more what we call online synchronous courses, meaning that the class is delivered fully remotely, but you have a set day and time that you log on each week to do a live class session with the instructor. And our online students have really liked that because it gives them that interaction with the instructor that they really want. So if you want the online self-paced classes, we have plenty of those. And now we're starting to introduce more of our online synchronous courses to give our students that interaction that they want. I had mentioned this earlier, but we are a STEM degree program, 36 credit hours. And within those 36 credit hours, half of those classes are core classes that you're required to take, and the other half are electives that you choose. We have 4 specialty tracks in analytics, retail, risk, and strategy. And I'll talk a little bit more about that on one of the next slides. And if you're a full-time student, it'll take about 18 to 24 months to complete the program, depending upon how you load in your courses each semester. I'd also mentioned previously that we do have a required internship or capstone that all of our students do as well. So let's take a look at those actual courses. On the left side of this slide are the core classes that all of our students take. And you'll see that everyone takes a statistics course, an operations management class, 2 globally focused supply chain courses, one in global supply chain and one in global logistics, a purchasing, sourcing, and contract management class, and then you choose either accounting or finance, and those make up your core classes. You'll also see at the bottom of that box this Math 6102 professional development course. And this is really part of our secret sauce here in the Jindal School. All of our new MS students enroll in professional development, which is a 1 credit hour class in your first semester taught by our Career Management Center. And this class is really there to help our students be workforce ready so that they understand what they need to do with regards to their internships, their LinkedIn profiles, how to interview, how to search for internships and full-time jobs, how to network, all those things that you might be wondering, how do I do this effectively, right? That's where that professional development class comes in, and it's baked right into your first semester. You sign up along with all of our new MS students here in JSOM. And our Career Management Center, whose full-time job it is to support students with their job search, they teach this class. The instructors have been a blend of Career Management Center staff and former recruiters from companies that have recruited students at UTD before. So you actually hear it straight from the horse's mouth, right? You're getting people who formerly their full-time job was recruiting for companies. So this class, I think, is one of the premier parts of the JSOM grad school experience. You get that support right from day one. It's a fantastic course, and our students really come out the other end of that class in a much stronger position to land those internships and jobs than they would have been had we not had this. So it's a fantastic part of the curriculum, and especially for our international students, this class is really geared towards international students to help them navigate what that's like in the US. It makes a huge difference. So we're very, very thankful that we had that professional development class for our new grad students. Now, on the right side of the slide, these are our elective courses. And you see we have A lot of elective classes. There's a bunch of bullet points on this list. And this is really one of the advantages of being in a bigger program, is that you have many more choices to really tailor your degree in the direction that you want to go. So if you really enjoy analytics and you want to make your degree very analytically focused, you can take your electives from, analytical classes. Some of these classes are actually shared with our MS Business Analytics program, and you can really make your degree super analytically focused. If you want more of a focus on technology and SAP software, you can choose to take our SAP courses, right? If you're interested more in trade compliance and strategy, you can take those classes. So I would say no two students in the program have the exact same set of electives, because they're really able to focus in on gaining that particular skill set that they really want. And you'll see there at the top of the box in red, we do award credit to our students who do an internship. So you can actually earn up to 3 credits towards your degree by doing an internship. We also have that capstone course there, that second red bullet point, OPRE 6367. That's like a mini internship, basically. We have an instructor here in our school that works with our students in that class to put them on small groups and pair them with a company here in the Dallas area to work on a supply chain problem or supply chain issue with them. And it's basically like getting a mini internship built into your degree. So again, we're super, super intentional about getting students experience before they graduate, and that is how we do it. It's sort of like it's basically like a guaranteed internship. The capstone is, I like to call it like a mini kind of internship, but those projects are really quite time intensive and done with an actual company here in the Dallas area. Okay, I had briefly mentioned the specializations for the degree. This kind of breaks it down a little bit in more detail. The specializations, though, are not something that you have to declare, and they're not something that you have to do. I like to think of them more as guided pathways. You saw a bunch of elective choices that you can pick from, and sometimes people see that and think, what exactly should I do? I have a lot of choices, but not sure which way to go. That's where these specializations come into play. They're really giving you suggestions on elective courses that you can choose to build into your degree that will allow you to be a little bit more focused in a certain area of supply chain. So I had mentioned analytics already. Here are some analytics courses in that box there on the left that are most geared towards students who want that analytical bend to their degree. Or maybe you want to focus more on retail operations or risk or strategy. You can take all of the classes that you see listed under these specializations. You could take 2, you could take 1, or you could just ignore this completely and just mix and match whatever electives are going to get you to where you want to be. So it's totally up to you. Plenty of choices. The other thing that I'll mention with this too is that for me as a full-time program director, I frequently talk with students about their class choices. So you get plenty of support in deciding which classes that you want to take. I'm always here to help you make those decisions. So don't feel like you're just left on your own to make decisions. I talk with students every single week about what classes they should take to really help them build that skill set that they want to get before they graduate. So just know that you're going to have plenty of support when you enter the program with crafting that degree to your goals. Okay, let's switch over to management science now. So just like supply chain, this program is also offered both on campus and online. It is also a 36 credit hour STEM degree program, but this is our most flexible master's degree program in the entire Jindal School. Only 12 credit hours of this degree are required core classes, and the other 24 credit hours are electives of your choosing, which can come from anywhere in JSOM. So it's very customizable and very flexible. It also will take 18 to 24 months to complete if you're a full-time student, and we have a required internship or capstone for management science as well. So here are the core classes for management science. You'll notice that it's a business analytics course, a database foundations course, a statistics course, and a spreadsheet modeling class. And those 4 classes, I like to kind of think of them as like a business analytics light, right? It's really at its core, management science is there to help make decision makers in organizations. So this is really giving you the data-driven coursework and data-driven skill set that you need to be an effective decision maker in an organization. And so Just like our other MS students in JSOM, we also have the Math 6102 professional development class that all of our new management science students take as well. Now, on the right side of the screen, here's your elective boxes. So you see that we have a lot of different areas of focus within JSOM. So you can take your electives from anywhere that you want. So the idea here is that you have this really analytical core of your degree, and then you can apply that to whatever area of business that you want to go into. So if you really want to focus your electives on accounting and finance, you could take 4 finance electives and 4 accounting electives, and really tailor your degree more towards accounting and finance. Maybe you like business analytics and you want to keep going and build on to those core classes that you've already taken. You could continue to take the business analytics electives that our business analytics students take, and really kind of make your degree a business analytics degree by focusing in on those electives. We have some students who take the management science degree in a supply chain direction and take all of their classes from supply chain. So you can really tailor this degree in whatever direction you want to go in. And the students in this program really love that flexibility. That's something that we hear from them time and time again is, oh, I get to really pick what I want to do. And it's very, very customizable, and they really, really love that. So just like in the supply chain program, we do allow students in management science to earn up to 3 credit hours towards their degree from an internship. And our interns in management science do just about everything under the sun. I have people doing supply chain, marketing, accounting and finance, business analytics, product management, project management, you name it. We've had MS management science students do an internship in that area because they've chosen to focus their electives on just about everything under the sun. So lots of flexibility and a wide range of options for you in management science. And for this degree, if you don't do an internship and choose to do a capstone instead, we have multiple capstone classes that are offered in the different areas within JSOM. So you could do the supply chain capstone, you could do a digital consulting project capstone. There's one that's related to venture capital and financing a startup. The idea behind the capstones is that you're getting that hands-on experience, and it's a very experiential course. So again, intentional about getting you that experience before you graduate. And there's many options for that capstone within JSOM, and you can choose the right capstone course that aligns with what it is that you want to do after you graduate. So again, you're always welcome to consult with me as your program director. I talk with management science students just like I talk with supply chain students about what electives to take to make sure that they're getting that skill set that they need to build before they graduate. So don't feel like you won't have support in making those decisions, because you always have me to ask, and our faculty and other students here to help guide you on which classes to take. So just know that you still get plenty of support when you come in to make those decisions about your electives. Okay, so let's talk through the admissions process. So I'm going to start here with our UTD graduate admissions page, and that's where all of our new graduate students start their application. It'll be these required items that you see here on this slide are the things that all of our students need to have. So first is just the online application. It's a $50 regular application fee. And certificates, and it's okay to upload unofficial copies of those. So if you have a PDF version that you've saved, yourself, it's fine to upload and apply with those unofficial copies. You'll need letters of recommendation. And if you have less than 2 years of work experience after your bachelor's degree, then you will need 3 letters of recommendation. But if you have been working for more than 2 years after your bachelor's degree, then you only need 1 letter of recommendation. So that's kind of the cutoff point there. Less than 2 years of full-time work experience after your bachelor's degree, 3 letters. More than 2 years of work experience after your bachelor's degree, 1 letter. You'll also have a personal statement essay that you'll include as part of your application. And these 3 questions that I've put here on the slide are what I encourage students to really think about as they start drafting that essay. Why do you want to pursue this degree? What is it about supply chain management or management science that really speaks to you? Why UT Dallas? What is it about our program and our school that really speaks to you? And why are we a good fit for you and your goals? And then what are your career goals with this degree? What do you want to do after you graduate? We're very focused focused on helping students meet their career goals. And so we want to know what it is that you plan to do with the degree after you graduate. Those are the things that I encourage students to think about and address in their personal statement essay. And then finally, we'll ask for a resume. And I have a little hint here. We have a resume template on our JSOM Career Management Center website. It's the resume template that all of our students actually use in that Math 6102 professional development class. And it's publicly available on the CMC website. You can go there and download it right now. And so I encourage students to use that resume template as part of their application. It shows that you've done some research on our school, and it's just a very cleanly formatted resume that we have all of our students use when they join the program anyway. So it kind of gives you that head start. And so it's not required. You do not have to use that CMC resume template, but I encourage our applicants to do that because I just think it really adds that cherry on top for that part of the application. So our MS programs here in JSOM do have a common set of admission requirements. And this is a page that you should really bookmark, is our JSOM MS admission requirements page. And I've just dropped this link into the chat. So you'll definitely want to bookmark this because it has all of these things outlined on the page. So as you apply, you can just double check and make sure that you have everything that you need when you're submitting that application. All right, on the other side of your application are your test scores. And so we do require the GMAT or GRE for all of our applicants, but there are waivers available. So on that link that I just put in the chat, if you scroll down, you'll see an application requirements section that you can expand, and that has all the required items. And then right under that is the GMAT GRE waiver criteria. And you can expand that section and see all of the different criteria that we have. And if you meet one of those criteria, then you can have the GMAT or GRE waived, which means you don't need to submit a GMAT or GRE score as part of your application. But if you do not meet one of those waiver criteria and you have a GMAT or GRE score to send to us, please do take that exam seriously because it is a very important component of your application. I think sometimes prospective students fall into the trap of thinking, oh, all I have to do is just register for the test and just go take it and I'm done. Yes, but you also need to study for the exam and do well on it, right? Just having a score is not good enough. We need to have a strong score, right? So I put the average admitted score here on this slide. If you take the GMAT, that average score is right between a 600 and 610 for our admitted students. And if you take the GRE, our average admitted score is right around a 308. I would say most of our students end up taking the GRE, but take a look at both exams and decide the one that you feel fits your strengths and your background a little bit better. We do not care which exam you take. It's totally up to you. So choose the exam that you feel you will do well on. So again, most of our students end up taking the GRE, but if the GMAT is a better fit for you or you've already taken that exam and scored well, that is completely fine. Because we have more students who take the GRE, typically our range of admitted scores for the GRE tends to start at about 300 all the way up to 325. So that's really the biggest, the range for where our students are admitted with the GRE. So definitely aim for that average or higher, but a good floor, just kind of baseline minimum would be right about at a 300 for the GRE. And that score should be less than 5 years old. Now, if you are an international student, you may need to submit an English proficiency exam. And unlike the GMAT or GRE, where there's an average and people are admitted above and below the average, with an English proficiency exam, there is a minimum cutoff. So if you don't meet that minimum score, then you're not able to submit your application. So I put the minimum scores here on the slide. As long as you've hit that minimum or you're above, then you're good to go. Again, doesn't matter which English proficiency exam you take, any of the ones that you see here are completely fine. And the English proficiency score should be less than 2 years old. Also, you may or may not need to submit an English proficiency exam. So if you're a citizen of India, you do not need to submit an English proficiency exam. Or if your bachelor's or master's degree that you've already earned was done in instruction and examination in English, you also do not need to submit an English proficiency exam. There are kind of a whole host of outlined English proficiency there's English proficiency information in more detail on the graduate admissions website. And I'm going to go ahead and put that link here in the chat because that is a question that we get asked a lot is what do I need to do with my, with an English proficiency exam? So if you are an international applicant, please be sure to also bookmark this page that I just put in the chat because that's going to have all of the requirements that pertain to international students, including that English proficiency exam information. So just make sure that you're aware of that and understand what those requirements are. All right. We mentioned deadlines briefly. I want to go over those again. For students that want to enter in a fall semester, you have until May 1st. If you want to enter in a spring semester, so for those of you applying for spring 2024 to enter our program in January, you have until October 1st to submit your application. And if you want to come in the summer, you have until March 1st to submit your application. Those are our regular application deadlines. You might see this like priority application deadline floating around out there. The January 15th, May 15th, October 15th gray dates there on the slide. You do not have to worry about those. Those are really more for our PhD applicants, so that does not apply to you. So don't worry, spring 2024 applicants, you are still 5 weeks ahead of the regular application deadline. You have until October 1st to meet the regular application deadline. We do accept applications late. So if you apply, for example, after October 1st for spring 2024 admission, that is fine. And your application just incurs that late fee. So rather than being $50, it's now $75. So that's why I really do encourage students to apply by that regular deadline. It gives you plenty of lead time, for our admissions committee to make a decision and for you to get ready to enter grad school. And it saves you that late application fee. So I really encourage folks to apply as early as possible. As soon as you're ready, go ahead and submit that application. And your application is not considered complete until we have all of those things that are on that MS admissions requirements page. Now, our admissions committee has been turning around decisions, I think, pretty quickly, but it can take up to 6 weeks to process an application and get an admissions decision. I think it's been well under 6 weeks recently, but sometimes we get a wave of applications and it takes our admissions committee a little bit of time to get through all of those applications. So just be patient, but I think they have been making decisions pretty quickly. I don't think it's taken a full 6 weeks going into this spring 2024 application rush in particular. Also, if you're requesting a GMAT GRE waiver, just allow for a little bit of additional time because that also has to go through our admissions committee before they make a decision about that. All right, tuition and fees. I know this is a question that we get asked a lot as well. Our bursar's office has this handy tuition estimator tool on their website. And this is publicly available out there. All you have to do is go in and enter your student status, whether you're a grad student or undergrad student, and then whether you're a resident of the state of Texas or not a resident of the state of Texas, which term you would come in under. And then we have 2 tuition plans. There's a variable plan and a guaranteed plan. And the bursar's office has information about what those 2 tuition plans look like. And then you choose the Jindal School of Management and number of credit hours, right? So everybody might have different answers to this tuition estimator, and it spits out the cost of tuition and fees for one semester based on that information that you've inputted into the tool. And so we're a 36 credit hour degree program. So if you input 9 credit hours into that tool, which is a full-time grad student is at least 9 credit hours, then you can multiply that cost by 4, and that should give you a rough estimate of what your tuition and fees will be for the entire program. If you choose to input 12 credit hours into that tool, then you can multiply that cost by 3. 12 times 3 is 36. And that will also give you, excuse me, a rough estimate of what the total tuition and fees cost will be for the program. Now, that is just tuition and fees. If you are an international student, then you should know about your I-20, which is what our International Students and Scholars Office has information on. So you should also navigate to the ISSO website for information about your I-20, because that I-20 amount is going to include tuition, fees, and estimated living expenses. And this bursar's office tuition estimator tool does not have living expenses included in it. It's just tuition and fees. So for international students, I encourage you to use both. You'll want to take a look at both and use both as you're estimating your total costs. All right, so we talked about tuition and fees, and I want to start off our resources for students section with our scholarships. So all of our new incoming students are eligible to apply for a new student scholarship. And for our students coming in for spring 2024, that scholarship application deadline is going to be October 1st. So you want to apply for admission first and then come over to the scholarship page and apply by the deadline for the new incoming student scholarships. These new student scholarships do not renew automatically, so you can apply for continuing student scholarships once you're already here. And certainly if you don't get, a new student scholarship, you can still apply for a continuing student scholarship once you've gotten here as well. Our scholarships do require full-time enrollment at UTD, which is, again, 9 credit hours in the fall and spring semesters. And our JSOM Scholarship Committee considers all of the things about your application, right? They're really looking for the rock star students. They want to see a solid academic record, a good test score, good involvement outside the classroom, good writing in your essays, some good experience, right? They want to see what I call the triple threat, right? The academics, the essays, and the experience outside the classroom. So they are definitely competitive. So you should really take your time as you're working on that scholarship application and make sure that everything is very polished and the way you want it to be before you click submit on that scholarship application. If you have questions about the scholarship process or the application, you can reach out to our JSOM scholarship team. So on that website, I put a screenshot of it here on the slide. You'll see that button on the right that says question, email us. Just click that and get in touch with our JSOM scholarship team. I am not on the scholarship committee. I do not award scholarships. So unfortunately, you can't ask me for money. I cannot award that to you. But our JSOM scholarship team will be happy to help if there's any questions that you have about that whole process. And again, October 1st is the application deadline for our new spring 2024 students. Similarly to scholarships, we also offer teaching assistantships and on-campus jobs to students. So for our teaching assistantships, these are something that you are eligible for beginning in your second semester as a JSOM student. So this is not something that you apply for coming into JSOM. It's something that you would apply for once you're already here, because you cannot have a TA-ship in your very first semester as a master's student. Again, there's no automatic renewal on this, so you apply semester to semester to be a TA. They do not require a letter of recommendation, so you do not need to contact faculty or staff here in the school about TA-ships. And really, these are awarded based on your academic performance as a master's student here. So a high GPA, with A's in your classes, that's really the most important factor when it comes to awarding teaching assistantships. And if you're awarded a teaching assistantship, again, based on your academic performance here as a master's student, you get a monthly stipend, and you'll also receive that in-state tuition rate if you're an out-of-state or international student, which is a great benefit. You also may not have both a teaching assistantship and a scholarship in the same semester. So if you've been awarded a scholarship, then you're not going to be awarded a TA-ship, for example. We also have a number of student worker positions available on campus. These are also something that you need to apply for once you are enrolled in your classes. And we have a platform called Handshake. And Handshake is the employment posting platform for UTD. So we have internships and full-time jobs that are posted on Handshake, and all of our on-campus offices that hire students to be student workers also post their student worker positions on Handshake. And so you are welcome to apply for student worker positions in your first semester. You can start working on campus at any time, whether you're an international or domestic student, and you get access to that Handshake platform shortly before the semester begins. So if you're coming in for spring 2024, you'll get that Handshake access probably in early to mid-January. Okay, another great feature of our programs is our mentoring, and I love talking about our mentoring program because I think it really stands out. All of our new supply chain and management science students are matched with a faculty mentor and a peer mentor in their very first semester. Automatically, you do not need to do anything. There is no application. There's nothing for you to do. If you're a new student, you are getting a faculty and a peer mentor automatically. This is, I think, a really fantastic feature of our program because we want to get students connected with their peers. We understand that your net worth is your network, right? It's sometimes not about what you know, it's about who you know. And the people that you go to grad school with are going to form the first part of your professional network as you go through your internship search and as you go through your first full-time job search. So we want to make sure that you know other students in your program. And because both of our programs are majority international students, we know that you've flown halfway around the world to get here. You're far away from your family, you're far away from your friends in your home country, and you need that social support network, right? You don't want to just come to class and go home and be alone in grad school. You want to make some friends. And that's where our mentoring program is very intentional about helping students make those social connections that will really help them be successful as grad students. So it's a fantastic resource for you as a new student. The photo that you see here on the slide is actually one of our mentor groups from fall of 2022, actually. So Mike there in the middle, in the blue t-shirt, he was our mentor. He actually just graduated this past May and got a full-time supply chain analyst job this summer at Micron, so he's doing great. And he was one of our peer mentors, and the other 4 students that are with him were first-year students last year. And so he would meet up with his students, as a group. They would hang out together. He shared his advice on how he landed his internship with them. And so the peer mentoring program, I think, was just a really great experience, both for our mentors and for our current students. Our mentors volunteer to do this. They're not getting paid to do it. That's how much they really care about giving back to the students in the program. They'll give up their time to help the new incoming students. And so I actually have a new batch of mentors that are going to be mentoring our new students who just started their classes this week. It's the first week of class here at UTD this fall. So I'm about to make those mentor matches here tomorrow. And our new mentors and new students are going to get their matches here next week. And we're very excited about that. So they'll get to know each other here at the beginning of the semester. Another great feature of our program is where we are located here in the US. We are in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. So if you don't know, DFW is the 4th largest metro area in the US. So New York is number 1, Los Angeles number 2, Chicago number 3, and Dallas is number 4. So we are centrally located right here in the middle of the country. We are within a 4-hour flight of just about everywhere in North America, and we are home to over 20 Fortune 500 companies. Some of these are actually just down the road from our campus. Dallas itself is the 9th largest city in the US with almost 1.3 million people. And our area, DFW, has been designated as a logistics hub by the federal government. And that designation was given to us because it's very easy to do business here. It's very friendly for supply chain companies to come in and handle logistics here in the Dallas area. And I think that also helps speak to some of the economic growth that we've seen here in the Dallas area as well. Over the past roughly 30 years, I would say, the economy of Texas has really just been booming. And so that's been great for our students who have located here because they have access to a lot of companies and a lot of professional development opportunities. So the top photo here on the slide is the Dallas skyline. That is our beautiful city, and the bottom photo is our campus. That is our main mall on the campus. We have a very pretty campus. It's great to come to work here every day. I love being able to walk around on our campus because it is very pretty. We're technically located in the city of Richardson, which is the first suburb right outside of Dallas. Actually, if you go across the street from our campus, you are in the city of Dallas, but our campus itself is in the city of Richardson. So what that means is you get the best of both worlds. We're in a very safe, quiet part of the metro area. You're not in the hustle and bustle. It's a very safe campus. There's no crime here. There's a lot of families with children that live in the area. So our students can rest assured you can walk around at night. It's super safe. You're not going to have any problems here. At the same time, you're also a very quick bus or metro ride away from all the things that are happening in Dallas. So I love that our students get the best of both worlds. They have a safe, beautiful campus to study on, and they're just right down the road from a lot of economic activity and a lot of professional development opportunities here in the Dallas area. you know, there are a lot of programs that are out in these little college towns. I think location is very important when you're deciding on a graduate program, especially in business. You want to be close to those opportunities, and so think about where in the country it is that you want to be. A little college town that's far from any kind of economic activity, I don't think is necessarily going to give students the best opportunities. So our location is a very key aspect of what helps our students be successful as graduate business students. I hinted at this earlier. I saw this infographic on LinkedIn a few months ago as well, and I wanted to share this in my info sessions. We have a very strong economy here in Texas. Other parts of the country may not be doing as strong as we are. Texas has really been on an upswing in the last couple of decades plus. So I wanted to share this infographic because I thought it was a really cool thing to see all of the different facts about our economy, which has really been booming. Okay, as we spoke about industry, I want to share our industry advisory board with all of you. The logos that you see here on the screen are companies that have been a part of our industry advisory board or are currently serving on our industry advisory board now. And the point of our industry advisory board, or IAB, is to make sure that our graduates are coming out workforce ready. We have representatives from these companies that we meet with throughout the year. They let us know what's going on in their companies, what kind of skills do their supply chain employees need, and then we come back to our program and say, okay, are we making sure that our students have these skills available to them so that when they come out, they're ready to join the workforce and contribute to companies and be an asset to those companies. So our IAB is fantastic. The folks on this IAB are happy to work with students individually. They're there because they want to help our program. I actually had a student last semester come in and say, hey, John, I'm trying to break into the life sciences and health sciences sector. I don't have experience in that area. Do you know somebody that I could talk to? And I said, yes, actually, I have somebody on my IAB who is working in that arena. Let me connect you guys. And I connected the two of them. And then he was able to actually land an internship this summer with a pharmaceutical company working in their supply chain planning division. So our IAB members are there to help our current students as well. And I think that those kind of ad hoc connections are super valuable for our students as well. We are also super proud about our student organizations here in JSOM. Sometimes people think I'm going to grad school, I just need to go to class and buckle down and study and go home. Not at JSOM. If you are a JSOM graduate student, I guarantee you are going to be active in in at least one student organization during your time as a student. And this is also part of our secret sauce. We really give students the full experience when they are a grad student at the Jindal School. We have over 70 student organizations that are just within JSON. I put a couple of our active student organizations here on the slide. A lot of these are related to supply chain, but we have anything under the sun. If you're coming in as a management science student and you want to go into business analytics, there are clubs for you. If you want to go into project management, you see there's a project management club you can join. So there's a lot of like career-oriented clubs in our school that are there to really give students a network and then provide them with opportunities to really become the best future professional in that area that they can be. So all of our student orgs are out on the JSOM website. You're welcome to take a look and see all of the different orgs that our students can join, because there's always events happening in JSON. There's always something for you to go to. So it's a very dynamic place to be a student. And a lot of that is because we have such fantastic student organizations that are really doing a lot to create a fantastic culture in our school. Now, I've hinted at them before. The Career Management Center, I wanted to give them their own slide just so you knew that we do have a Career Management Center that is just dedicated to JSOM students. Unlike other universities that maybe have a career center for the entire campus, our Career Management Center is just in our school and they just serve you. And so that I think is a fantastic resource for our students who come into the program. They get a high level of support from our CMC. Our CMC is hosting events with employers constantly. I talked about the employers conference that they did earlier this month. That was a fantastic event that was organized by our CMC. This infographic that you see here on the slide was actually from 2020. And even during the pandemic year, they did over 200 workshops, had over 100 employer-led events. I know that this number has definitely gone up over the last 3 years. I'm not sure if they're making this infographic anymore, but I know that this is at a minimum what they're doing now in 2023. Every week they send out information on what they're doing, and it's constant employer events, constant professional development events that are happening for our students, just for JSOM. It's like just for you guys. So they do a fantastic job, and you get a lot of support, career support coming in as a JSOM student. We also have some certificates and other resources that we provide our students. We do have that required internship as part of the program, and you're eligible to do that internship and earn that internship credit after you've completed 2 long semesters in the program and 18 credit hours if you're an international student. If you're a domestic student, you can of course work anytime, but you cannot actually earn that credit towards your degree until you've made it through that halfway point of the program, which is 18 credit hours. If you are an international student and you're interested in learning a little bit more about the CPT, which is curricular practical training, and OPT, which is optional practical training, that information is on our International Students and Scholars Office, or ISSO website, if you're interested in learning a little bit more about the details on that. We also have a partnership with the Association for Supply Chain Management, or ASCM, and we give our students a very steep discount on the ASCM certification courses that you see here on the screen. So if you're interested in doing one of those, you can do that for a very, very steep discount when you're coming in as a master's student. And all of our students get free access to LinkedIn Learning. This is a really great resource, and our students really love this. They're always on LinkedIn Learning, taking some additional classes to supplement what they're learning in the classroom. We've had some students get some certifications through LinkedIn Learning, and it's all completely free once you're an enrolled UTD student. So that's another great resource that you can take advantage of. And this is my last slide. I wanted to close out on our student ambassadors. I know you heard a lot of information today, and you might be wondering about some things from the perspective of a student who has gone through the program and graduated. And that is where our student ambassadors come into play. They are recent alumni of the program, and you can read a little bit about them. We have 4 supply chain ambassadors and 3 management science ambassadors. They each have a little bio on the website. So please feel free to read about our ambassadors and reach out to them if you have questions that you want to ask somebody who's been through the program. What was it like moving to Dallas? What were your favorite classes? How did you land your internship, et cetera? You can ask them anything, and they'll be happy to give you the perspective of a student who has been through the program before. So please feel free to reach out to our ambassadors if that is of interest. So finally, this is my last slide here. Reach out anytime. I know that we went through a lot of information today, and I'll send you the recording and send you the slides so that you have all of this in your email inbox. But if you think of something after today and you want to get in touch, please feel free to email scm@utdallas.edu for supply chain and msc@utdallas.edu for management science. Spoiler alert, it is me behind those emails. So when you email SCM and MSc, that is actually coming to me, and I will answer your question. I'm usually pretty quick on email. If I'm in the office Monday through Friday, I'll get back to you the same day. So I'm always happy to answer your questions and help you with anything that you need help with. I'm also very glad to announce that our programs have LinkedIn pages now, and we just made this summer. I'm super excited about these pages because it'll help you follow along with what's happening with our program throughout the year. And we actually just wrapped up doing some summer internship highlights on our LinkedIn pages. So if you are interested in the supply chain program, please take a look at the link that I just dropped here in the chat. And if you're interested in the management science program, I'm going to put that link here in the chat as well. Follow along. We're going to be highlighting what our students are up to this semester. And like I said, I just did some summer internship highlights. You can see our new students at orientation as well. We did orientation last week. So check that out and follow along and engage with us throughout the year. And I'll turn it over to you guys if you have any questions.
Hello. Could you hear me?
Yes. Hey, Yuan Chen.
Yes. Because I saw your admission and you have shown that the prerequisition have the quantitative foundations of business, right? But I haven't learned that in my in the in my before this graduate school. So if I could learn from other places and got the certification, if I can waive the class before I join, in your master.
Yes, good question. So students who haven't taken an undergraduate calculus or kind of higher level statistics course in their bachelor's degree could get placed into OPRE 6303, which is that Quantitative Foundations of Business course. And that's it's a prerequisite class, so it doesn't count towards your degree, but it's there to serve as a foundation for those quantitative skills that you'll need to be successful in the program. Now, our admissions committee has looked at documentation and supplemental evidence provided by applicants to reconsider if they need to be placed into that class. So if you think, you know what, I do have sufficient math and statistics background, I don't think I need to be an OPRE 6303, you can send an email to our JSOM graduate advising team. And I just put this email here in the chat. You would want to send them a message and say, hey, you might have seen in my bachelor's degree that I didn't have this math or stats class, but actually I took, this other course, or I did this other certification, or I did something that that got me up to snuff with my quantitative skills. Attach that documentation to your email and just ask that the admissions committee reconsider placing you into that Quantitative Foundations of Business course. They can review that documentation and then make a decision based on that. I'm not sure which way it'll go, but if you provide that evidence to them, they should be able to at least reconsider placing you into that course.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Gladys, I see you have your hand raised.
Yeah, thank you, John, for the extensive information. My question is about the period. And as you said, it takes about 18 to 24 months for the learning. But my query is, how am I able to accelerate my learning and probably like shorten the class, shorten that period? Is it possible?
It kind of depends on your situation. So if you're going to be coming in as an international student on an F1 visa, then I would say it's probably not a good idea to do the program in less than a year and a half. Because you need to have completed 1 year in the program before you become eligible to do an internship. And that internship is a required experience for the degree. So in order to be able to do the internship, you have to have a year under your belt. If you're not coming in on an F1 visa, it's possible to do the degree in 1 whole calendar year. You'd have to really load up on classes and take like 5 classes in each semester and take classes in the summer. And I've seen students who've taken 5 classes really struggle academically, and it may not be a good move as far as maintaining your GPA or actually learning as much as you can from the program. So I don't encourage students to finish the program in less than 18 months for those reasons. It's a little too intensive of a program, and with the internship and capstone requirement built in there, it's usually just not a good idea to try to do it in shorter than a year and a half. Yeah, and we do have some students that like to take the full 2 years because they're able to do, if they're international students, they're able to do CPT for an entire year. So for example, we have students that come in the fall, and then they take fall, spring, and then they get a summer internship. And then that summer internship gets extended into the fall. And then I've even seen where it gets extended again into the spring. So they've been able to get their master's degree and have a whole year of work experience under the belt before they graduate. And that year of work experience that they're able to put on their resume is really, really, really a positive thing for their career trajectory. And so I have students who say, no, I don't want to finish as soon as possible. I actually do want to take a full 2 years so that I can keep working in an internship throughout that entire second year. So there's also a benefit to extending that out a little bit in the sense that you're able to do that internship multiple semesters in a row and gain more experience. Okay, Renee, I see your question here in the chat. Can I get, do I stand a chance of getting a GMAT waiver if I do not meet the waiver requirement? It depends how close you are to those waiver requirements. If you went to an AACSB accredited business school, for example, and maybe your GPA was a 3.4 instead of a 3.6, right? You were kind of close. I would say go for it. Let's try it. If you're far below one of those waiver criteria, then it may not go your way. So I would say if you think you're close to one of those criteria that you see on the screen, go for it. Go ahead and send in that that waiver request. It's worth a try, right? The worst they can say is no. But yeah, if you're far below it, it may or may not happen. If you're pretty close to one of those waiver criteria, then I think it's definitely worth a shot. Also, this goes for anybody, if you've already done a master's degree already, maybe you've done an MBA or you've done another MS degree already, and this would be like your second master's degree, then I also encourage students in that situation to go ahead and request that GRE or GMAT waiver on the basis that you've already done a master's degree already, and if you got good grades in that and performed well academically, that can also be really good grounds for requesting that test waiver too. Yes, great questions. One thing also to mention here, if you want to apply for a scholarship, you do need a GMAT or GRE score to submit that scholarship application. So sometimes people will get, the test waiver for admissions purposes, but they still want to be able to apply to that new student scholarship. Then you still need a GMAT or GRE score to be eligible to submit that scholarship application. Yes, Pallavi, I see your question here in the chat. On the website, I saw we have the option for a double degree. How does that work out in terms of coursework and tuition? Great question. So it depends which combination of degrees that you want to pair together. The most common pairing of degrees that I see is the MS degree plus the MBA. And students who do that combination of degrees, they're looking at about, I think, 62 credit hours. Most students who do that combination of degrees, if they're going full time, they'll usually take about 2.5 years to complete the double MS supply chain or MS management science plus MBA degree. There are courses in that case that double count, and that's why the total credit hours for doing a dual degree is lower than if you were to add the two degrees together on their own, right? You have a 36 credit hour MS degree and the MBA is 53 credit hours. If you were to add those together, it's like 89 credit hours, right? But when you're a dual degree student, it brings it way down to like 62 because there's classes that double count between the two degrees. Now we have some students that also do a double MS degree, and that's where you take an MS in one thing plus an MS in another and combine those together as a dual degree student. If you do that, then it is 55 credit hours. And maybe you're interested in business analytics and supply chain, then you can double MS that together and it'll be 55 credit hours. That you could probably do in 2 years, but I think for anyone who's a dual degree student, you need to plan to be here at least 2 years if you're full-time, if not 2.5 years, because it also depends on how many credits you pack into a semester. I tend to encourage people to not pack more than 4 classes into the semester, especially in these STEM MS programs where you're in very quantitatively rigorous courses. If you're really feeling like a rock star and you want to try to do 5 classes in a semester, that could potentially help shorten the time. But just be careful about that. So I think if you're coming in as a dual degree student, just be flexible, right? You don't want to overload yourself trying to get through too quickly. So plan for at least 2 years. But the tuition doesn't change. You're always billed by the credit hour. So instead of planning for 36 credit hours of tuition, you would just plan for 55 or 62 or whatever it is that it may be. And the benefit of doing the dual degree is that some of those classes double count. So you're never, you're saving time in earning 2 degrees because classes will double count between the 2 degrees. Great question. I am going to go ahead and stop the recording. So thank you to everyone who has been watching the recording, and reach out if you have any questions.